Hey, English 244. All right, so welcome to your third paper. I have decided that everyone's going to do the paper. I'm not going to write a final for just one person, so everyone's going to do this final paper, but there will be no comprehensive final at all. You don't have to come during finals week, which is fantastic. So this is your third paper. I'm going to go over this, and we'll talk more about it in class on Monday. So, number one, the first part, what is a synthesis? Because you are writing a researched argumentative synthesis. A synthesis is a written discussion drawing on two or more sources that presents summaries of the sources involved, judgments of those sources, and an indication of what the relationship is between the sources. Writing a synthesis involves finding a relationship between sources, both written and non-written. In an academic synthesis, you make explicit the relationships that you have found among separate sources. In writing a synthesis, choose your sources carefully, looking for important relationships based on the purpose of your essay. There are two main types of syntheses, the explanatory synthesis and the argumentative synthesis. Whereas the explanatory synthesis helps readers understand a topic to explore a subject, divide it into its component parts, and present these to the reader in a clear and orderly fashion, an argumentative synthesis, which is what you are doing, does all that and uses the connections to argue a particular point. The purpose. The purpose of this paper is to give you a chance to practice integrating information from a variety of sources into a coherent and complete document, and to use what you've read and researched to inform a well-planned and logical argument. Additionally, the purpose is to explore relationships between primary texts that you've read and current adaptations, and to discover what their differences mean. The assignment. So the paper. You will select one work from your text. It can be a work that we've read, or it can be something we haven't gone over, but in which you have an interest. Some students historically have chosen James Fenimore Cooper for this assignment, who we haven't read, but he would work really well because there are many adaptations of his Leather Stocking Tales, but there are many others. There are adaptations of Washington Irving's work, tons of adaptations of Nathaniel Hawthorne. There are loads and loads of adaptations. There's adaptations of Harriet Jacobs' biography. So, there's just lots of them there. Then you will watch a modern-day adaptation, a film or television show of the same story. So you need to choose something that has a modern-day adaptation. There are many, many of these to choose from. You will then look at the similarities and differences in the original story and the adaptation. However, you will go beyond a simple compare-contrast style paper. In addition to finding similarities and differences, you will find at least 4 credible sources that assist you in explaining how those differences and similarities matter in the story and adaptation, why they matter, and what that means. And this is really the most important part. Your job is to explain how all of these things go together, what connections exist between the stories, adaptation, and sources, and argue a specific conclusion you came to based on these things. You must have at least one source from a book and one source from an academic journal. After you've read the stories, watch the adaptation, and find at least 4 sources, you will write a 4 to 7 page argumentative synthesis. Less than 4 pages will not receive a passing grade. That means that 3 3/4 pages will not receive a passing grade. It needs to be 4 full pages. Deciding what to focus on and write about is a crucial part of this assignment. The best way to start this process is to come up with a question that guides your research, which we will discuss more in class. This question will lead to your thesis, which should be intelligent, relevant, have broad academic interest, and make a solid claim. It is up to you to find the connections and make sense of them, and then explain them to your reader in a clear, comprehensive, and coherent manner. Additionally, you must take a side and present an argument that makes those connections even more clear. It is required that you take a draft of this paper to the Writing Center for review. Please make sure you finish your draft in plenty of time to allow for a visit. Bring confirmation of your visit to our final class session. The process, how to do this. First, choose a story. Check to be sure it has an adaptation. Google is quite helpful for this. And then read the story. Don't read a story unless you know it has an adaptation. Watch the adaptation. You can watch through our library, Netflix, or a variety of other sources. If you have issues watching it, let me know. I can help. I can help you get access to adaptations. Carefully consider what your purpose is. This is an argumentative paper which incorporates the presentation of facts arranged in such a way as to help the reader understand the concepts and issues you discuss. Come up with a research question that encompasses these ideas. Do research. Make sure that the sources you choose will work together to accomplish your purpose and answer your research question. Read your sources closely. Figure out what your thesis is. It should be argumentative. Your thesis statement should clearly state the point of your paper. Decide how to organize your information. Your thesis should aid in this. I will require you write a rough outline to help organize your ideas. Draft topic sentences for your major points. Write a rough draft. Document your sources on a separate works cited page. Do not plagiarize, and carefully, meticulously cite and document your sources. And as always, your document should be typed in MLA or another approved format, 12-point Times New Roman font. For support, what I'm going to be evaluating you on is this. This is exactly where your grade is coming from. Support. You use sources to support your ideas and claims and not the other way around. Your resources are credible and well chosen. One is from a book and one is from an academic journal. Ideas. You use original, academically relevant ideas. Your audience. You take special care to address your audience in an appropriate manner. Make sure you establish your credibility on the subject and that you provide sufficient information to make your argument, that thesis, convincing. The organization. Your paper is organized in a clear, understandable fashion. State your thesis clearly and make sure that it reflects the focus of your essay. Make sure that your main points are clearly stated. You can do that by using topic sentences. And connect each point to your thesis as explicitly as possible. Divide paragraphs logically and provide appropriate transitions both within and between paragraphs. Development. You develop each main idea thoroughly. Use specific examples and source materials appropriately as support. Be sure to integrate source materials smoothly into your own writing using attribution phrases and transitions. Also be sure to avoid unnecessary repetition, which is often an organizational problem. Style. Select your words precisely. When in doubt, use a dictionary. Make sure sentences are clear and unambiguous. Use passive voice. Double check to see that sentences are adequately varied in length and style and that there are no fragments or run-ons. Also proofread carefully to correct any other sentence errors. Mechanics. You proofread carefully to identify and correct mechanical errors, such as errors in plurals or possessive, subject-verb agreement, shifts in verb tense or person, which is that you, comma errors, spelling errors, and so on. You quadruple check your MLA documentation. Make sure your parenthetical citations are correct. Is your works cited list correct according to MLA style, and does it include all sources cited in your essay? You give your essay a descriptive and attention-getting title. Don't just title it paper number 3 or synthesis. And you ensure your essay is formatted correctly. So the timeline for this. Today is the introduction to the paper. Thursday, December 4th. So next Thursday, you have an outline due to Canvas by 11:59 p.m. I'll give you an example of that outline. It's fairly detailed, and so you need to make sure you start on your research and have your ideas going because you're going to be writing a detailed outline. I'll go over the outline Monday in class. On Monday, December 8th, you need to bring in Writing Center confirmation, the proof that you went to the Writing Center. The Writing Center is located in RLC 173. And you can make an appointment and go in, or you can drop in. Sometimes they have open appointments available. And you can also submit your paper online to get feedback that way. But no matter what, you get 20% of your grade is that Writing Center visit. So you need to make sure that you go. And on Friday, December 12th, the Friday of finals week, final drafts of the paper are due to Canvas at 11:59 p.m. You also need to include a first draft, and I have every expectation that the first draft and the final draft will be very, very different. You also need to include a one-page letter explaining all of the revisions you made from first draft to final draft and why you made them. And listen to this part carefully. When you submit, you need to have all 3 pieces, the one-page letter, the first draft, and a final draft. And the first draft and final draft need to be very different. And if you don't include all 3 pieces, I will not grade your paper. You will get a 0. So you need to make sure you include all 3 pieces. Make sure today that you watch this lecture, that you watch the MLA lecture, and that you do the online assignment, which is due on Monday.